Hi, I'm Leah. I live in my van and I am a nutritionist and wellbeing coach.
Leah. Who is Leah?
Tell me about me. I'm a nutritionist and health coach. I work part-time for the NHS and then the rest of the time I work privately with my own clients. I also live in my van. I play roller derby. I love to surf. I love to hike and eat food.
What is a difficulty in your life that you've overcome and how?
So I think there was a period of my life where I just kind of lost myself and I fell into some pretty bad habits and quite a damaging lifestyle. And it all just stemmed from a lack of self-belief, a lack of self-worth. I sought a lot of validation from people around me, but I didn't really know who I was. And it was related to how I felt about my body. You know, I was insecure. I was outwardly very confident, but it's because I fed off other people. I needed them to see this version of me to feel like I was that person, and I never was. How did I overcome it? Looking inwards and really figuring out what is important to me, figuring out my values, realizing that I am worthy, and I ended a relationship. I made a big life change. I moved into a van, which is something that I wanted to do since I was like 15. I met somebody who I've built a really loving and brilliant relationship with, and I learned a lot about myself in the process and realized that actually the version of me that I was when I was younger and when I was a kid, and I loved nature and I loved adventures, that was so much more me than this partying kind of outwardly confident person who was actually really struggling. And coming back to that just gave me this real sense of peace, and it helped me to realize that actually the way I look isn't important to me anymore. My body wasn't the most important thing about me because I had all of these other things that were more valuable and more important and that made me worthy in and of themselves. And I didn't need to be this other person anymore.
So you're going to cook me a dish?
Yes, indeed. I'm going to cook you a balanced bowl. So a bit of tofu, some beans and a salsa, some broccoli, some quinoa, some avocado, and a nice little kind of yogurt dressing to tie it all together.
Are you ready for it? Because I am. It's going to be great. Where's my lid? Okay, what are you doing?
So I've just put the water on for the quinoa. And now I'm just going to start prepping the tofu, because ideally I would have marinated this yesterday, but I'm not that prepared, basically.
Love the honesty.
Yeah.
That's just real life, isn't it, really?
Exactly. So I'm just going to cut that and then drain it.
When it comes to tofu, I've heard people talk all sorts about it.
Yeah.
Is it best to have organic, or is that just a myth?
If you can afford it, then there's no harm in organic, but the way it seems like essentially any health benefits that you would get from eating organic are going to be minimal. And yes, there may be some environmental benefits to it, but again, it doesn't really do that much. Like, organic doesn't actually really mean that much, unfortunately. Don't know why it's doing that. So I mean, if you can afford it and money is no object to you, then go ahead. But for the majority of people, it's not worth it.
Well done. You did it.
That was going to take a while.
Muscles.
Absolutely.
So this is harissa paste.
Yeah, this is harissa paste, which I use in like everything. It is really tasty. This one is a little bit spicy. Some of them aren't, but this one definitely is. I've got to think about what I'm doing here. Do I want to put this in there? Yes, I'm going to just put some harissa paste in here with a little bit of water, and essentially I'm just making a marinade at the moment. which is just going to be harissa. There is my tofu.
Tiny little stuff.
So the key to good tasting quinoa is cooking it in stock rather than just water.
There's a good quality fact there. Good tasting quinoa stock cube. Don't forget that juicy little bag of quinoa.
So this is bulgur wheat and quinoa because, I mean, the more plant foods we eat, the better for our gut. So it's really good to get a good variety. So if you're buying grains, buy mixed grains. So buy like bulgur wheat and quinoa, or buy like the pearl barley and quinoa and rice mixes, for example, because you'll be hitting more plant points, which is going to be great for your gut health. Now, you're supposed to rinse this. I'm not going to. Oh no, I've made a mess already. These are so hard to open without scissors, and I really can't be bothered to get the scissors out. I'm going to leave the quinoa to simmer for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it off the heat but leave the lid on it, and then it will just soak up the last of the water. You need a ratio of about 1 to 3, so 1 part quinoa to 3 parts water. You might need to add a little bit more in as you go. Just kind of judge it by how much it's soaking up. The secret to crispy tofu is corn flour. So coating your tofu in corn flour before cooking is going to give it that kind of crispy outer layer. To do that, this is the easiest way.
Shake, shake it, shake, shake it, shake it.
Exactly. I'm going to need a little bit more.
How do you know when it's fully coated?
So at the moment, the marinade has kind of turned it into a bit of a sludge. So I'm just going to put a bit more on it, and it should be kind of white and powdery. Now, whether that happens or not, I'm not sure.
But this is kind of the fun of cooking, it seems, with you. You seem very like, look, just go with it.
Exactly.
You know, like, just see what happens. It's okay.
It's going to taste good.
Yeah.
It will always taste good.
Yeah.
Like, it's food. All food tastes good. No, it doesn't.
Some of it's bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about you with what you do, like following you online. It just seems like you're very go with the flow. Like, you don't want people to feel stressed with what they're doing, and actually what it seems like is food is stressful, healthy food or cooking is stressful, and you try and the way that you speak about it is trying to eliminate that.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't need to be stressful. I think I talk about this like balance bowl principle because it keeps building balanced meals really simple. You've got a good portion of like high fiber carbohydrates, like whole grain carbs, good portion of protein, plenty of veg, and some healthy fats. You've built yourself a really well balanced, nutritious meal. So I guess it's just figuring out what goes into each of those categories, but it is quite straightforward. Normally, if it's beige, it's probably a carb. Bread, pasta, rice, potatoes are all your kind of carbs. Proteins, chicken, meat, fish, and then like alternatives like tofu, tempeh. Your veg, pretty self-explanatory, and then your healthy fats tends to be things like avocado, oils, nuts, and seeds, basically. So if you're getting lots of those, all of those elements in one meal, you've got a balanced, satisfying, nutritious meal. Okay, I'm going to try and add this to the pan, but I'm not sure if this is actually going to work very well. So
we're here for the experiment.
Exactly. So I'm just dropping it in. I'm getting it out so that I'm leaving behind some of the marinade sludge. I want the actual kind of cubes.
And what oil do you recommend to use when it comes to like frying?
I normally suggest olive oil, but there's a lot of debate. In all honesty, I just wouldn't use something like coconut oil. Coconut oil was kind of touted as a really nutritious health food, but actually it's quite high in saturated fat, which isn't great for us in general. It's not great for your heart health, it's not great for your cholesterol, so you're better off choosing like any kind of plant oil. Like olive oil tends to be my favorite, or you can use like sesame or avocado if you like their flavors. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to use all of the broccoli, well, what's left of this one that I started the other day, including the stalk. Now, it's kind of a myth that you can't eat the stalk. The only thing I would say is take off the really kind of the outer edge, because it's quite tough and fibrous and a bit bitter. But once you've kind of peeled off those bits, you can use a peeler for this. Oop, I'm dropping it.
Man overboard.
Yeah. Once you've taken those bits off, this bit is still really fine to eat, so just chop it up. You want it to be in smaller chunks than the rest of the broccoli because it is a bit sort of thicker. It takes a little bit longer to cook. But there's no need to waste it. So I'm putting it in this sieve to then, oops, if I can get it all up. I'm making a right mess. I always make a massive mess, just to say this is very normal. I'm going to put it over this and then put the lid on so it's steaming using the quinoa steam.
Oh, that's fancy.
Out of the way.
Salsa.
Yes, so I'm going to make a fresh salsa because it just tastes amazing and it's so easy and you can add it to so many dishes. It's great with like kind of Mexican style dishes. It's great as kind of a just as a side, like a dip for crisps and things. I'm only going to use half the onion because otherwise it's really oniony. I'm going to chop it as finely as is humanly possible.
Tomatoes, yeah.
Yeah, which I'm just going to chop up. You can use big ones if you prefer, but I just prefer cherry tomatoes, so I kind of tend to have these in my fridge more than big ones. So jalapenos, you could use fresh chili as well if you prefer, but I love the flavour of these. I'm not going to put loads in because I don't know how you feel about the spice.
Love spice.
Love
but
spice.
That looks good. That looks
okay,
good.
that's enough. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is fresh coriander, which obviously is essential in a salsa, but if you don't like it, you could totally use any other herbs. Also, I do not spend time taking the leaves off the stem. The stalks are fine. Like they're slightly more flavorful than the leaves. I think slightly more bitter. But if you chop them up fine enough, they just add even more to the flavor. Yeah, I pick out like the massive ones, but other than that, they're fine. Tiny chopped, just a bunch. That's going in too. And then lime. I'm gonna squeeze half of the lime in the salsa, and then I'm saving the other half for the yogurt dressing. Oops.
Pause.
Okay, black beans in. I think we might be a bit tight. Let's give that a stir first. Kind of there. So harissa and lime yogurt. I'm going to take some yogurt, a little bit of harissa paste, and squeeze of lime. I'm going to do half, the remaining half. Pepper. Quinoa for our whole grain, high fiber carbs. Step 2, some broccoli. Oh, just gonna do it like that. Some really crispy, crunchy tofu. And then salsa. Whoops. Avocado. Dressing. Now, just kind of dribble it all over. A little bit more for good luck. There you go. What do you think?
That looks absolutely delicious.
Colourful, high fibre, high protein, healthy fats. My kind of jam.
Look at this absolute dish.
Okay.
Okay. Oh wait, let me.
Got it? It's a bit solid. Here,
Ah!
let me get it. Oh my god, it's proper there.
See? All your strength because of your healthy eating.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm excited.
Good?
Yeah, let's do it.
For some.
What do I go for first?
Don't know, you kind of want a bit of everything. So I like get a chunk of tofu, get a bit of salsa. I haven't got any broccoli or avocado, but it's good enough.
Salsa.
Do it.
Look at that.
I forgot to taste that at all the whole way through it, so I'm really glad it actually tastes right.
I really
like it. The salsa just makes it so fresh and a little bit spicy. A little bit. Good.
That's really good.
Good.
Oh, that's really nice. And I didn't know that you could not cook black beans. I just thought you had to cook them all.
Any beans that are tinned, just they're fine as they are. They've already been cooked. So if you buy dry beans, yeah, you need to soak them and cook them because they contain lectins, which are poisonous. But if they're well cooked, they're fine.
So kidney beans, all of
yeah,
them?
all of them.
God, I could try.
Just give them, like, drain them and then give them a bit of a rinse if you tend to get a bit gassy after beans. That's the best advice. And then, yeah, just add them to anything.
Wow.
Or have them cold.
Really good.
Tinned green lentils in a salad. So good. Just drain them, rinse them, and then mix them in with loads of chopped veggies. Perfect summer salad.
Wow. So I've spent the day with you and you've told me about your incredible business. You've told me, well, you've showed me some incredible food. We've tasted it. But what I just want to know is, like, why do you have such a passion really to help people?
I just don't want anyone to miss out on their life because they are worried about their body, they're worried about food, or to be held back by limited fitness because maybe they don't have the confidence to go to the gym. So many doors open up when you take that step to look after your health. And I think there's also so much misinformation about what that looks like, and I just want to provide an alternative service that isn't necessarily focused on weight loss. It isn't all focused on aesthetics. You will never see me post a before and after picture. I don't that to me just promotes that one body is better than another body, and that's simply not true. I want people to be able to take care of their health from a place of care and love and respect for themselves, and not because they don't like themselves. And we know that evidence shows that actually they're much more likely to be successful in these health behaviors and improving their health if it does come from a place of self-care and self-respect. So that's the kind of alternative narrative that I just want to put out there and help people to find.
I love that. And when we were talking about doing these interviews, that was one thing I loved about you, is that I can feel through the screen when I'm watching your videos, like, how much you actually give a shit. Like, you do seem to really care. And I think that's beautiful in itself, because I think there's so many, like, people out there that run just different businesses, not just nutrition, just in general. And sometimes I just don't feel that zest for it, but for you I do. And I say zest because it's a bit like a lemon, which I'm sure is a healthy thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But hey, so if people want to have a chat with you, book in with you, where can they do all of this?
So I'm most active on social media on Instagram at Leah Food and Fitness. If you are interested in support, just send me a message. That is the easiest way to do it. And then essentially we'll just have a chat about what you need and see if I might be a good fit for you. I do also have a website if you want to know more about my service. It is www.leahfoodandfitness.com.
I'll put it here.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming to chat with me today.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how working with you looks?
Absolutely. So I work with people remotely over Zoom, so I can work with you wherever you are in the world. We'll work one-to-one over video calls, and after a full kind of initial consultation, we'll figure out what is most urgent for you to work on at that point in time. It might be your nourishment, it might be your movement, or it might be your relationship with your body or food, but we'll develop a plan together that works for you. And you will also, as part of that, if you are in need of a structured workout program, that will also be part of that, delivered via an app. So if you want to build a bit of confidence in the gym, maybe you want to start lifting weights, but you're not really sure where to start, I can help with that. I have been through that stage of, not knowing what to do in the gym. I'm a qualified PT as well as a nutritionist, so I can help you find your feet there too.
A huge thank you to Leah for trusting me to interview her about her small business. And please, if you would like me to come do the same for you in long or short format, get in touch.